All right. Back again, and we're gonna hop right into it. So I'm gonna share a little bit of my story with you guys. And this topic that I'm about to speak about is near and dear to my heart, man. I feel like that every guy should know how important it is to develop from a boy to a man. Self-development is absolutely everything. I grew up a decent life, you know, had both parents in the household till I was 15 years old. Had a stepdad in the house because I never was able to meet my real father. I still have not met him to this day. I barely even know that brother's name. So, and my parents didn't show me, like, my dad was a great example of what a man is. He is an excellent example of what a man is and what a man should aspire to be. But my parents didn't really show me a lot of things that it took to really grow up, to be honest with you. They were just parents. You know, they just made sure I was fed, made sure I was going to school and stuff like that. But I never really learned how to, you know, grow up and actually develop into a young adult. So I went through a lot of trials and tribulations. You know, my parents divorced when I was 15 years old. And, you know, from that point, I just started moving because I had to go live with my mom because she was my only parent, because that was my stepdad, you know what I'm saying? And he never adopted me while they were married, so that's the reason why. But, so we moved around to a lot of unstable places. My mom would get in these relationships and we would start living with these guys, and it wasn't stable and it wasn't working out well, to be honest with you. And then it came to a point that when I was 17 that I had to leave the house because she just couldn't take care of me no more, and I had to go find out things for myself. And when I was young, I was going through a lot of resentment issues when it came to, you know, my dad or not knowing my father, and I just didn't really know how to handle that when I was younger. So I didn't really talk to my dad, and I didn't really talk to my mom. So naturally, what I did was start hanging out with my friends more. I started treating my friends like family. And honestly, it brought a lot of comfort, but those were the worst years of my life. I was getting in trouble. I was heavy in the drug use, drinking alcohol, partying, clubbing, worried about women. That is what me and my friends did. That's what we did. You know, and I ended up, when I was 22 years old, when I was 22 years old, I ended up leaving my hometown and I moved away to this area called the Quad Cities. I moved away. And there, that is when I was able to begin my personal development, my self-development. Because I was in an area where I was brand new. So therefore, I was able to, you know, just get used to new life, see all the new opportunities that were around me, see, you know, just the possibility. And I mean, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I was able to see, I had a whole bunch of time with myself, and I would sit there and be like, all right, Zach, you're in a different scenario now. Like, what do you want out of life? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you want? You ever thought about that? Like, you didn't try to go to college a couple times, failed out. What do you want to do? And growing up, I never really knew what my interests were. I just loved basketball and music, to be honest with you. I love basketball and I love music, shit. So I was like, okay. So I just started going to the gym. Fell in love with the fucking gym. I'm telling you. Started going to the gym. And that's when I started watching these motivational videos, you know. The first guy that I ran into was C.T. Fletcher. CT Fletcher and Mike Rashid. And then because when you listen to a guy like Mike Rashid, honestly, Mike Rashid was the guy that had me thinking like to the next level, like, oh, personal development is a whole thing in itself. And I never really understood that until he got to thinking about, okay, you got to hone your skills. You have to be able to go out and try to figure out what is it like, what does it take to be a man, to be prosperous, to be resilient, to be patient, to be able to control his emotions, being intelligent, always on the seek for knowledge, separating yourself from your friends when the time is important, or surround yourself around better friends and look for these qualities when you are picking your friends. So that's when I first started my self-development journey. And years after that, I developed as a person, but at the end of the day, I kind of went back to my ways. I went back to my old ways, partying with friends, drug use, drinking alcohol, all that stuff. If anything, it really amplified it, to be honest with you. So then, boom, I moved to Birmingham. And I started focusing purely on myself. And I learned a lot about myself in that time. I learned a lot. Self-development is number one. You have to be able to sit alone with yourself, and you got to be able to ask yourself, first off, what have you done? What have you learned from them situations? And what can you do moving forward to make sure that you better yourself? This is the time to put all the things that you've learned in your past situations, put them to work. Now, this is the point. You know what's right from wrong. You know that you probably need to start working out and focus on your health. You probably need to get a good, steady career or end up starting your own business or generating some income in some type of way, and start thinking about your future funds. Really, you need to get really good at managing money and learn about different investments that you can make to benefit your future. If you plan on having children and a family, start thinking about the long term. Start thinking about the long-term effects of being somebody that you can live with, being a person that you can just say, you know what, I'm proud of the person that I became, and it's everything, or else you'll always run around chasing things that give you pleasure opposed to things that that are actually important to your longevity. What makes you, the things that keep you waking up and going to sleep, knowing that you've created some type of like longevity legacy type of thing, having a different mindset, being accountable for yourself and moving forward, just stuff like that. But yeah, that's all I got, man. It's a long journey. I ain't gonna lie to you, and it's hard. When you're forced to work on yourself, like I said, I didn't really have a lot of guidance growing up, so it's been difficult to kind of check myself in a sense. It's been a difficult path, but getting better every day, and I'm never going to quit. I'm never gonna quit. I will always try to be the best version of myself possible. And that's gonna include making mistakes, but I have to be able to learn from the mistakes. That's the most important part. It's not about how you get knocked down, but it's about how you get back up, and that's real.